All right, let's take a look at lesson activities inside of Snowflake. Lesson activities on the main tools page has linked to thousands of different activities available for all grade levels and content areas. When you first go there, it's going to bring you to the Snowflake Community Lesson Activities. You can also switch yours to the My Lesson Activities. This is where any lessons that you have done yourself or you have viewed and played and downloaded are going to be stored. But to start out, you're going to want to go to the Snowflake Community Lesson Activities. Across the top, you can help search by looking at age groups, subject areas, languages, creators, all the things that you want to be able to sort and search through. I'm going to go with 6 and 7-year-olds, which are first and second graders. I'm going to go with the subject of mathematics. You can go ahead and search through Spanish, but notice there are only 52 results for the entirety of first and second grade students for math that are already in Spanish. If I go back to English, you'll notice there are 791. That's a big difference. So what can I do? Well, if I'm looking to make something that is natively in Spanish, I can go and find an activity that's in English and then change any text that's there. So I'm going to choose this one here called Matching Numbers to Number Words 0 through 10. And notice if I ever play it, what it does is it downloads a copy. So I'm not changing the one online. It's downloading a copy to my own computer or to my ClearTouch board, whichever one I happen to be accessing Snowflake through. And then this is the game that I can play. Notice the number cards around the outside and then these number cards traveling around the circle. And the way this one works is that you drag the number to the corresponding box, and if you get it right, you can turn it on so that it gives you a little sound and a check mark. If you get it wrong, it lets you know also. You pull it back off. So I want to make a version of this that's in Spanish. So to do that, let me get out of here by going back to the corner queue and Lesson Activities Home. This time I'm going to go not from the ones online, but from the copy that I downloaded into my computer. So you'll notice I already have one in here that I started working on earlier. Let me go ahead and show you where I would do. Click on Play. Once I'm inside the lesson activity, I can go to the corner queue again and choose Edit. That brings me right to the part where I'll be able to start making changes as soon as it loads. There we go. So notice this one has each of the answers has a number picture that's paired with the number word that's been typed. Also at the top, I can change the title of this. It gives me a limited amount of characters, so I can't put the longest thing in there possible. I can also tap in here and change the wording. I can continue scrolling. Scrolling down, there we go, to see all of the choices here. And again, all I need to do is change the number word to be able to make it into Spanish. I can double check and see if there's anything on the customized content because it has a special button. So far it looks like the only thing that's on here is changing the shape for this particular activity, changing the shape of the cards, and then putting in simplified mode, whatever that means. Let's go back and manage. So again, I can change by retyping each of these boxes, and I can either use the on-screen keyboard, or if I have a connected keyboard or I'm accessing this through the Snowflake that's on my desktop, I can just use my regular keyboard. All right, Now, a couple other things you want to do is you also want to touch the lesson activity info and change any of the words that are there. So since I changed this one to Spanish, or if I change this one to Spanish, I'm going to want to change the description to also be in Spanish. I can put in a link, if I know a link to a great YouTube video that'll be here that will work well with this as an intro, I can paste it there. Additionally, if it happened to be a video that was going from 0 to 20, but I only wanted to go to 10, I could pick the time on the video where it starts and pick the time on the video where I want it to stop, and it will only show that much of the video instead of the whole thing. If I'm changing this to Spanish, then I would want to go in here and make sure I'm changing the language from English to Espanol. Additionally, I can type in a title and paste a URL for another web page I'd like to go to after we finish the activity, but I don't have one of those right now. On the right-hand side, you'll see that there are some choices for how this displays. Currently, one that you want to think about is the size of the letters. Now, in this one, it's extra large or XL. If I look at the ones on the screen, the white words that are the number names inside the cards, each of those seems to be pretty big. It's big enough to see and read clearly, but not being so big that it forces it to go to a second row. So I think extra large is actually probably the best size choice for those words. If I go too much bigger, it may start making longer words like cuatro, kind of like wrap around and be on the second row with half the word. So I'm going to leave that alone just as it is, but in case you need to, if you find one you're working with and it's just too small, you can absolutely fix it. All right, so once you're done with all your choices, you have a couple of options. Play will let you come back to and finish playing this, and then export allows you to export this out, save it to your desktop. The reason you might want to save it to your desktop or to your documents is that you can then put it on a thumb drive to copy over to your board if you made this on your teacher computer, or you can copy it over, put it on a thumb drive to put to, I think, to another teacher in your building that teaches the same subject, so they have a copy of it as well to use. You also, once it's a file, let me stop that because I've already got one saved. I'm going to go back to my desktop, and then in my desktop I've got this one over here. Because it's a file, I can then add it to a folder in Google Drive that maybe have in my lesson plans for that week, and then have this lesson file inside of there that I can then copy, and so can other teachers who also have a clear touch board and teach the same subjects. They can copy and import it into their copy of lessons, and that looks like this. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to go back here to Lesson Activity Home. And once I'm back at Lesson Activity Home, if I wanted to bring that one in, so say I didn't have it, let me go and delete these two because I don't really need them. I've already saved it out. If I didn't have it and another teacher had given this to me, I can choose Import. I've copied it down to my desktop. And let me see, it should be right here. There it is. And it brings it into mine. Now it lives in my downloaded section of my lesson activities. I can access it whenever I need to. Additionally, if you have signed up for your NuaTech Snowflake online account through Snowflake Live, you can also open and share it that way, but that's another video. Again, great way to take existing ones that are in one language and change them, either by changing the language and retyping the words, or by changing and editing more answers.